There you go.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of AI and blockchain as part of our Global Chamber AI series. My name is Yuka Nakasone, and I was supposed to be joined by my co-host, Jacob, but today I'm doing it on my own, by myself. So please bear with me if I don't do it perfectly. I am not perfect. So today we're going to talk about blockchain and artificial intelligence, and these are classified as deep tech. And we are going to talk about the synergy between one kind of deep tech and the other kind of deep tech. Deep tech, I don't know if everybody knows. I believe you you don't. So I quickly explain that that's a kind of technology that impacts society or industry uh, very much, and it's transformative way of impact. And they are, if you look for definition, there's maybe 14, 15 kind of technologies um, listed. And why it's deep tech? Because, for example, artificial intelligence, it is one of the deep tech um, category because it impacts all the tech industries, not just one industry. And blockchain is the same. It's uh, it's in the foundation of maybe many industries, if not all the industries. So that's what we have, and we we have we 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 have a very I don't know how to explain a very well prepared expert because she is not just an expert on the technology itself, blockchain technology. She's also an educator. Her passion is education, and she she has an association of blockchain as well. So she's uh she's approaching this technology from many angles and putting together many things for blockchain. And I'd like to introduce you Jacqueline Cooper. Hello, Jacqueline.
Good morning or afternoon or evening, depending upon where you are. I really appreciate being here. Thank you for inviting me to be here.
Yeah, and I don't know if my introduction was too accurate or not, but what I know from my session with you, individual session with you, I know you know the technology very well. Not only that, you put together many people from many different places, and then you try to educate people, uh, raise the awareness and educate people.
Mhm.
So I would like you to introduce yourself, um, and then talk about your point of view about blockchain and how AI can change the world if it changes. I believe so. And then maybe we have a series of questions because it's a very maybe complicated technology that we need to understand. You know,
Yeah.
average people don't understand what blockchain is because when we hear blockchain, people think, oh, it's crypto coin, it's money, it's but in the reality, it's not, right? So please introduce yourself and a little bit about blockchain and
Mhm.
why people think it's about crypto, and then maybe you talk about what you do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I think what I'll do is I'll share a little bit about my story and my journey, and that will definitely get us into a lot of the the multiple areas that I've been learning about. My background is law, so I am a practicing attorney with Cogent Law Group. And now I can say I'm a blockchain lawyer. Many years ago, I would not have said that. I stepped into the blockchain world about 10 years ago. And for those that don't know, the blockchain technology actually has been around for over 30 years. And the tech is simply the undercurrent for a lot of the building that's going on right now. And yeah, I see you as well. Thank you so much. And I see many friends who are on right now. And so with my journey, I started off not knowing anything. And I'm also in education. So sometimes I bring up examples from school, the schoolhouse. So I really felt like when I stepped into the space, I was in kindergarten, not understanding the vocabulary, not understanding the tech at all. And so but I was just like a little kid, really excited to learn. And I realized as I was struggling to find resources, I would reach out to people on LinkedIn or all places. So that started my journey with my deciding to start a talk show called Crypto Mom 2. And from starting the talk show, I was recording my interviews because I thought others would probably also want to know the information. I started to learn about the variety of technologies that are out there. And I felt like I was a ping pong ball going from one to another. And I also ended up buying an altcoin that's no longer sold in the States because they didn't want to deal with the SEC. But because I bought this altcoin, it had an ecosystem. And they were through the coin, you could get food, you could get clothing, a lot of different things. This is, remember, this is 10 years ago. And so that was pretty innovative back then. And but as a result of my learning about the altcoin, an alternative coin, and for those that don't know, an altcoin is a coin or a token that's other than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is like the grandfather coin. And then anything who's not Bitcoin is called an altcoin. So when I learned about Bitcoin, then I was down another rabbit hole, and I became a Bitcoin miner, node owner, and going down that path, I ended up starting to write books, the Bitcoin Cinderella blockchain adventure story, because I really felt that there was a need for understanding the tech through a different type of medium. And so I integrate into fairy tales, the tech side, and I've written 4 different books so far. There'll be a series of 10. It'll be like Harry Potter and the blockchain. But as I've been researching the books, I've also had to learn the technology because in order to explain it in lay language, I didn't want to simplify it so that way it wasn't correct, but I wanted to make it understandable. So someone coming into this space would then want to go into the online world that we live in uh, for the technology and the businesses and things. So because of one of the books that I wrote, The Bitcoin Cinderella and the Seven Dwarves, which is just about Bitcoin mining, and the dwarves are mining Bitcoin in El Salvador, CleanSpark, which is a publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, sponsored the giveaway of the book at a Bitcoin conference. I guess it was in Miami 2023. And a young attorney came up and asked for resources and how she could step into this space. I said, I'm happy to share. But what happened was when she walked away, I turned to my associate, and some of you who I've talked to have heard the story. And I realized that there wasn't a library of resources. So really, that's what the Blockchain Legal Institute is. It's a library of resources. And every time I find a new resource, I upload it to the library. But as a result of what we were doing with the Institute, we also do global summits and virtual events. And we have verticals for AI, blockchain use, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Now stable coins are going to be added. Whole slew. You'll see that it's comprehensive, but over the next 5 years, it'll be even more comprehensive. And we're also about to do a hackathon. And I'm really excited about doing the BLI hackathon because I'm approaching different protocols, both in the AI space as well as in the blockchain space, to join the hackathon. So I'm not a coder, but I want to learn about the coding. And so by hosting a hackathon, that also means I'll be able to kind of ask more questions and learn more about it, because the cross application that's happening is really exciting. And the connected with this, an offshoot of Blockchain Legal Institute, but still different, because I live in Maryland. I started the Maryland Blockchain Association. And so I can learn my own community. And within Maryland, we've put real estate title on blockchain. There are a lot of other, great companies that are based here. McCormick Spice is using blockchain for its supply chain. And one of the things that happened 2 weeks ago is the Maryland Blockchain Association has actually signed a partnership with Capital Technology University in Laurel, Maryland. So we're actually physically creating a blockchain center, and it's going to be called the American Blockchain Center. And so within that physical space, there will be, because Capital Technology University has both a graduate program as well as an undergrad. Their graduate degrees are virtual. So we're going to be hosting the hackathon there, but it will be a hybrid. So we'll also be virtual because there are contacts that we have around the world that will want to also participate. So, so as you can see, kind of the umbrella of everything that I've been excited about doing has created both a physical Maryland Blockchain Center as well as a virtual library. And it's introduced me to a lot of different people in our space. And even with the associations that, I've been representing, like the Government Blockchain Association or GBBC, there's amazing amount of technology and uses. A number of years ago, one of the people that I interviewed for my talk show, Diego, he created Jada AI, and that was about 3, 4 years ago. And at that point, I had no clue what AI was. I mean, it was just something I had heard about, and I've done a number of interviews with him, and now his company is growing, and he has investors, and they're going to be launching different things soon. But that was my first stepping into an AI world and asking an innovator, and really he's a genius, more about how does this work? And it's I'm not a coder, but my major in college was science, technology, and society, so I've always been interested in science and tech. But AI is a tool that also, from the legal perspective, we also have to be thinking about. There's different issues that you have to think about. I know, being in the education world, I won't use AI in my meetings because I don't know where the information is being stored. So from a privacy perspective, if we're talking about something, and I noticed as we were signing on, there were all these little AI agents, people taking notes. And I think, that's really cool that people can have their virtual assistant be in a meeting, and then a bit later they can go back and they can listen. But we also have to think about, okay, where's that information being stored? And what information in a corporate meeting are we going to be sharing that we might not want stored outside of our corporate walls? Because there's a lot of innovation that happens within both the public as well as the private side. So AI, I think, is going to be great from the perspective of time saving, information collecting, but it's also going to also raise other questions. I know that tomorrow I'm hosting a virtual event that is about agritech. And so that's one of the areas that AI and blockchain is intersecting.
Mhm.
And what's really interesting about the company that I'll be interviewing is that they're using weather sensors to gather information for farms. They're using AI to integrate that, and then they're storing it actually on Bitcoin, the blockchain. Now, what's phenomenal about that, if you're not aware of the different protocols on blockchains, Bitcoin really was created from a token perspective, not for a business use application. Ethereum was created to solve the problem that Bitcoin wasn't doing that business application. So if you think about Ethereum, Ethereum's like the mall where you can kind of build a lot of different things off of Ethereum.
Mhm.
And then from Ethereum, other protocols learned and other tech, was created. Um, but what's really going back to the Bitcoin side, because of the technology evolving, you have what is called layer one, which is the original path, the original blockchain, but now you have layer twos. So
Mhm.
layer twos are built on top. And like with Bitcoin, the layer two allows you to build different things that the original blockchain maybe didn't, or
Mhm.
that it wasn't thought about that you could. So right now with the agritech, what they're doing is that they are storing the information collected from the weather sensors onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And then that information is then used when the farms need to apply for insurance claims. So that way they can then
Oh.
get credit for weather that might have
Mhm.
impacted them. But the other thing that down the road might happen is as climate changes happen and as we
Mhm.
are looking at weather sensors all around the world, possibly tracking
Mhm.
different things, we might be able to see trends happening. And we'll be able
Mhm.
to actually use that maybe to support maybe the development of certain agricultural in different places because of either droughts or other things going on. So we might be more strategic from that perspective. But the other thing that has happened too is sometimes, again, talking about blockchain use cases, another Maryland-based company, eLivestock, they're putting cattle on the blockchain, not the actual cattle, but they're tracking from the farm to the store, again, supply chain, the health of the cattle. And so again, if we're looking at healthcare, supply chain, food chain, um, anything that might be an illness, again, we can use AI to track. We can also use the blockchain to maybe store and trace. So there are a lot of governments both in Europe as well as the United States and other locations that are starting to learn how to integrate the technology, integrate the blend of storing, um, on the chain as well as using AI. The biggest challenge that we're going to have, and people are already learning how to solve it, is the data centers. Where are we storing all this information? What's the energy for the storing of the information? And people, the tech's getting smarter. We have, in addition to IoT, the Internet of Things, we have smart cities, we have finance. When I was down at WAGMI, the blockchain conference, we went to Google, and there was I guess he called it alpha because it hadn't been actually released yet, but it's uh, not a portal, but and it's not a website. I forget what he called it, but basically it was a trading platform. But it was more than a trading platform. It was using AI to watch the markets, but also see trends, but also see where businesses need to be. And so it was taking AI can use, as everyone knows here, it can take information faster than what we might be able to do, even though there are many geniuses out there, but to aggregate it in such a way. And then the question is, what are we ethically going to be using this information for? And how are we going to use it to help, whether it's on the healthcare side, supply management, or the finance or anything else. So that's a quick overview. Really, everyone who's getting involved in this industry is seeing the overlap of how AI can make things more efficient, but you also have to, and in the business model side, you also have to think about, from myself as a lawyer, what are the issues of integrating this? And then how do you do the protections, both for the consumers, the business people, and then what happens if your company dissolves or you go up, you decide to end your company? Where does that information go? And in the past, you just had paper. Now you have everything electronic. And the other question is very important to think about too is, and I do not even want to think about this, if we ever had a power grid outage and everything was online, what happens then? So, again, we are developing a very integrated system around the world that also needs security so it doesn't get hacked. because again, from a corporate perspective, there is a need for protection because there's always going to be good actors and bad actors, and it's a question of figuring out how do you kind of navigate to protect the information that you're creating and the products and services that you want to do. So, so that's a quick overview.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you talked about when everything is online and digital, and when we lose electricity, everything is gone, right? That's a kind of fear. But the other thing I noticed recently, we had a huge wildfire in Los Angeles, right? And what I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true or not. So I'd like to ask you, Jacqui, about your expert knowledge, because I've heard that these cryptocurrencies are online, but to access it, we need the key, right? And people are advised to keep these keys offline, just in case, not to be hacked. So many keys, private keys, were on the paper. And what I've heard, like online news, is that many people lost their keys to their investment with the fire in Los Angeles. Is it possible or is it true? Do you think?
Well, again, so it's always possible that if someone doesn't have a backup, that they're gonna lose their data for sure. And even with an backing things up, like on a node, I learned recently with a node that I have, when I moved it from one location to another, your IP address changes. That
Mhm.
I'm still new to the tech side. So again, that meant that there was a challenge for me to access. So going back to the fires and things like that, anytime that we have a natural disaster, um, there are a few things that go on. It makes people both, it's sort of like when you get sick, all of a sudden you realize, okay, I need a will, or I need to have certain things in place. With the natural disasters, I know that FEMA and a lot of government agencies are looking at integrating resources online, so that way people can then have immediate access, even payment, possibly through an online wallet. I'll answer your other question in a second. The other thing that I know here in Maryland, Baltimore City, I believe it was, they put their real estate titles online on blockchain. So if we are thinking, from a city perspective, what documents do we need to store online in case there is a fire? So the paper ends up being destroyed. So we have a backup copy. I always think that you need both. You need to have an online copy as well as a backup copy. So that way you always have the ability to kind of have multiple touch points for access. And so it's probably true that people, with cryptocurrency, if you have a wallet, you have seed words that where you can access it. But some wallets you can access through your email with a password. So it depends. And then sometimes you might have, for those that understand crypto, you have both what's a wallet that might be on your computer. You might have what they call a cold wallet, which is a separate wallet. But even the companies that are creating the cold wallets, they are creating backup systems right now. Not so much that to be able to access the private information, but because of people passing, they might want to give the cryptocurrency or the assets to someone else. So they might need a it's called a multi-sig wallet. So that way, either they can access it with the company or someone else can access it. So there's, multiple points of contact. So I think as the space is evolving, because of different crises, the tech side is thinking, okay, how do we solve that problem? How do we help people who have just experienced a loss? So yes, if you have not written down your seed words, or if you don't have a backup, then you possibly could have lost your assets. The assets aren't lost. They're still there. It's a question
Mhm.
of how do you break into your wallet? So
Break
again,
into your wallet.
yeah, so someone just posted something there. It's hard for me to see, but there is tech that's being developed to help with those challenges. And again, it's as these problems come up, then there's going to be multiple people who are going to be thinking, how do we help others like that? But yes,
And
if
there's a
you
lot of wallets out there, right? Like crypto wallets that people can join. Like assuming you have access now, there's a whole value proposition. I mean, we're making the actual value proposition for them a little bit right here, aren't we? Like we're making
well,
the argument.
you're right. And I, as a entrepreneur and talk show host, I have opened up many, many wallets from Phantom to Atomic to there's centralized wallets and decentralized wallets. Centralized wallets are those that are like Coinbase. A decentralized wallet is something that's is you have to learn about it and then open it, and it's not connected to anything. And that's why it's called decentralized, but you can still transfer the funds over. Um, and now banks are going to be able to custody also. That was just passed wallets. So that's going to be a whole nother area. But yes, there are many different types of wallets, which also means that I have, for me, as an example, I have many different seeds that I have to kind of store, which is actually, again, another book that I wrote, which is The Essential Digital Asset Organizer for Attorneys and Their Clients, because I realized that for my daughter, she would not know where everything was that I had in order for her to access it if anything happened to me. So yes, from a wallet perspective, it's always the same in terms of seed words. You're either going to have 12, 24, and there are companies which actually have created products where you can actually write on metal, which is fireproof, your seed words. So it's a question of, okay, do you trust having them written out like that? And then where do you store it? So that's a personal question for everyone, but it's a challenge when you have a decentralized system like this, because you have to decide, okay, unlike going to a bank and going to your vault, you have to figure out, okay, where am I keeping this information? Who do I trust with it? In case something happens where I need to have access to it. And from a company perspective, let's talk business. Many businesses are able to accept crypto right now. So, and there are companies that will allow you to hold. I know I have a nonprofit, and there's a company that we decided to use to accept crypto, but it allows us to either hold the crypto for the nonprofit and or change it over to fiat. And I was talking this morning to a company in Europe that actually um, is stablecoin. So they're highly regulated. They will only work with businesses that are $5 million and up, but they are B2B. So if, let's say, for supply chain or some others, if let's say the one company wants to get paid through a stable coin, but this other company doesn't have the ability to, they can create an account with this company, and that way they can accept the stable coin, and then it will be translated into fiat for them. So there are many companies that are out there that are looking at a blend of crypto, a blend of fiat, using this as just it's just another creative investment tool. Depending, I say that with a caveat. Um, there are some cryptocurrencies that you have to question the liquidity behind it. And so, again, um, AI is now being integrated into the trading platforms, and AI is also being used to trade faster than what individuals are. So people are both making money but possibly losing money. So you also have to understand how to use those AI bots and tools. Um, so, again, there's a lot of research that needs to happen on many fronts, depending upon how you want to integrate this technology. And we're going back to the cryptocurrency side. Bitcoin is, personal opinion, not giving investment advice, it's fairly solid. Altcoins, not always the case. And less likely that there will be a rug pull on Bitcoin because it's truly decentralized. With the altcoins, any company can create an altcoin, any company can create a meme coin. And because of that, that's why there's all this debate as to whether these tokens are securities or not securities, and what protections there are. So again, depending upon, what your view is, approach it with caution, but take advantage of it and just do your research.
Interesting. Thank you very much. And talking about security, I don't know if this news went to the States, but in France, there was a kidnap case last week. The Ledger company's founder and his wife were kidnapped last week.
Wow.
And yeah, the kidnappers were asking for ransom by cryptocurrency, of course. So the world is changing, and I don't know, it was something that happened near in Europe, and I really felt like it was in France, but in the center of France, not in Paris, where the technology is really implemented, boomed. It was like in the center of France, in the, you know, with fields and stuff. So I'm it made an impression, really, and how we need to think about security, both physical and digital, are very important. And as you said, how we need to leave this information for our relatives or people who needs to take care of. For example, me, if I get sick, how can I pass the information? It's a big question to ask. And you talked about your workbook to organize all the information. Maybe
Yeah.
you can share more information about that if anybody is interested in to spread out the word and learn about that with Jacqui. It's a very good practice as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
appreciate that. I know that one of the organizations that Blockchain Legal Institute is affiliated with is the Anti-Human Trafficking Intelligence Initiative. And through that group, I've met a lot of, and I'm also a certified cryptocurrency investigator, but I've met a lot of investigators who are dedicated to helping, recover individuals who are being trafficked, and they do that through tracing of the cryptocurrency and things like that. Because again, there are a lot of really advanced search tools right now. The technology is changing. And I have no doubt, even though I didn't do any investigation prior to our conversation today, that some of these tools are probably using AI to help speed up the process of, the aggregation of the information for sure. So, the abduction of, that couple, unfortunately is not surprising from the perspective that the Ledger company is a very well-known company for cold wallets and very reputable. So I'm glad that they were returned and they were safe. I saw that. And then the idea that someone might ask for a ransom in crypto does not mean that it's not traceable. Again, they're going to give a wallet. We might not know who's behind that wallet, but when they try to take it out, again, there are ways to kind of track and trace.
Mhm.
Especially because most of the communities around the world right now have agreements, especially the centralized exchanges, where through, again, court cases and other things, where they feel an ethical obligation to help with sharing information when something is, like this happens. So again, you're going to follow the normal, proper channels of having that information released. But if, let's say that they decide that they want to take the ransom out, to spend it, they're going to have to share it somehow with an exchange too,
Mhm.
and then that's possibly how they'll get caught. So
Yeah.
everything is actually pretty transparent and traceable.
Mhm.
Um, so, but you know what, one of the things that you mentioned, which is a passion of mine, being an attorney and a parent, is the idea that everyone needs a will for sure. And even in having a will, even if you don't have a will, let's say, you at least need to start writing down, which is why I created the, yeah, I'll show it to you. It's right here. You know, the Essential Digital Asset Organizer. You know, I created this for me, for my daughter, because I realized how scattered everything, all of my information, the hybrid world that I have. And I knew that if she wanted to know where my Square account was, or the email, or the password, or anything that's not even on the Bitcoin side, just, you know, social media, she would have no clue, because of my multiple emails and things like that. And she probably wouldn't have the patience. So I know that in terms of just what we are, if we're trying to create generational wealth for our families, it's really important to think, how do we document that so they can learn and they can understand how to access? Because at the point that they need to know that information, we might not be available, or we might not be of them. If we're in a medical condition, we might not be able to tell them, look in the brown box that's underneath my desk and look at this
Mhm.
folder for X, Y, or Z. So it really is something that, unlike the taxes where we know in December we're going to go through our receipts, there's the unexpected time that we need to start planning, and it's not going to be easy. And these are conversations that are not easy either. But I think we all have to be realistic. If we're creating an online business, we have hybrid digital assets. And we need to have a plan both for our family as well as for our business partners. And sometimes we have it for our business partners, but we forget about the family side. So it's an important conversation. It
Mhm.
creates more peace of mind knowing that uh, you've put something in place, and hopefully you don't need it anytime soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this comment. It's
Yeah.
very valuable.
So
I would like to know if anybody has any question.
questions?
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark, please.
And thank you, Yuka, and thank you, Jacqueline, for that great presentation and background. I was here to listen and learn, so it was very educational. Thank you. So I'm Mark with Tech Edge Dynamics. I'm in Nevada, USA. And
Nice.
my question is a bit tangential, but I think it's quite important to the discussion. I'm curious about your thoughts, Jacqueline, on the availability and location of deep tech talent. So I've spent the last 12, 15 years traveling the world and living in different countries. I'm pretty familiar with Asia Pacific region, especially Southeast Asia, South America, and also Eastern Europe. My current firm is leveraging Eastern Europe, specifically Ukraine and Poland. And a lot of the Ukrainians have moved over to Poland. But when we look for talent, programmer, whether it's Python or React, front end, back end, it's becoming more like a dime a dozen and a commodity, right? But true deep tech technology expertise, I think, it's rare and it's growing. But I'd be curious in your thoughts on where you found it, where you think it's coming from, and so forth. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that question because being in the education space, as well as, you know, in the entrepreneur space, um, I am passionate about vocabulary development and professional development across various areas. So and that was one reason why I was really excited about the Maryland Blockchain Association becoming a partner with Capital Technology University and with the programs that they're doing. And I see in Maryland, like when I landed last night, I saw like these posters that said ethical AI, University of Maryland, different companies, universities are starting to catch the craze, I'll call it. But I really do think that there has to be in the United States a serious discussion, and there are many universities who are doing this. Um, the, the serious discussion as to how do we train um, the next generation not just from an Ivy League perspective, but from a community college perspective. We need to, and I know that, and that's why I'm excited about the hackathon side. We have the ability to be virtual trainers and educators uh, to develop that, as you were talking about, the need for the for the developers that the business side needs to hire and then work with. Um, uh, I I don't know. I don't want to disparage any country or area. I don't know how much we as a nation that we are actually have we focused on that in the past? I'm not sure. I think that there are pockets, but I think that a lot of training and tech moved out of the United States because of the way the laws were, because we don't have a sandbox mentality. And in fact, one of the global summits that Blockchain Legal Institute is doing in March is about sandboxes, economic zones, and SROs. And I think that other communities, UAE and other places, are more open to the development of technology developers and entrepreneurs. So they'll allow for the experimentation. I know we have a large community of followers within India. Again, we have a large partnership with Galter and others there. We're developing a partnership because of our Rio Digital, which is one of our strategic partners in Japan and Asia. And so, for an answer to your question, I've talked to different HR hiring companies that are global, and they also are searching. So I think that this is but it's no different than any other profession. I know I'm a special educator, and there's a lack of teachers, so I think with every profession, there's a gap, and I think we need to be looking down the road as to where do we need to fill and how do we train.
You
And
know,
having you involved with some of the technology universities to spread the message that this is what's needed, I think is very important because NSF, they provide grants. There's educational opportunities, but I think that hearing from the community as to what the needs are will mean maybe there might be some more funding to develop the talent that you need and others. So I think what you said is extremely important.
Thank you very much. And I agree, the US is playing a bit of catch up. And I'm a father as well, and following it. I met an entrepreneur the other day he quoted some 60% of high school teachers don't have the proper math certification, which shocked me. And he's created a program to help them get certified. So there's certainly STEM classes in high school and plenty of programming classes. Even out here in California, my next door neighbor, Google and Apple are paying high school graduates who can do a Python program $150,000 to $200,000 base salary.
Wow.
High school
Yeah.
graduates. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting to watch the US, how it develops, and our universities. So thank you for your response.
Yeah. No,
hey,
the other
Mark,
thing that
Yes,
I was just gonna say it's this isn't like the U.S. needs to compete more just from a math standpoint, like from a people on the earth standpoint. Our resources. I'm in software, so I mean, our product is developed by people from all over the world, essentially. And when it comes to development, when you were talking about Poland, Eastern Europe, Ukraine, the Slovakia, Czech Republic, you name it. And then you've got the cultural stuff because Jacqui, you were talking about India. I mean, I've worked with developers, and there are cultural differences between. You take a group of Japanese developers and set them up next to a group of Indian developers, next to a group of Eastern European developers, and there's quantitative and qualitative differences. And so the reason why Apple and Google are paying these young kids is you've got like somebody's like a social the demographic, and we just don't have enough numbers. Like even if we got to the ratios of Asian countries with kids pursuing STEM, that doesn't actually produce the numbers, right? Because it's a world problem, and it just happens to be all the resources are not here.
I also
Yeah,
think
and
that
AI and blockchain and crypto, it's all going so fast. You can hardly
Mhm.
catch your breath, and the universities can't, it's hard to catch up.
Well, I
The
mean,
universities
look,
can't.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry to interrupt. The universities can't because you're right. The IoT, everything is as for you as entrepreneurs, you're thinking way ahead, and the universities are thinking textbooks. And also schools are thinking curriculum. I'm embedded in both low elementary school as well as higher ed. I really think that some of our development for our young kids are going to have it's going to have to happen outside of the school system because we're still teaching basic math, basic reading. We need to be developing critical thinking, but that also only happens at a higher level of maturity. But I was approached in Maryland by one of Parks and Recs in Baltimore. They said they have a STEM program and they wanted to know how to integrate blockchain and that into, and those are the after school programs where they can do, I think, a deeper dive because then they can go online without, see, also in this, our school system, we're restricted in terms of getting approval for certain websites and things like that. It's not like they're going to say no to a certain website, but they will block it and initially. So with an after school program, you can develop a sister relationship with another group of people in a different part of the world and have this cross exchange that will excite the kids who want to go into that coding and the developing and to show and the experimentation. That experimentation can't necessarily happen in a structured school day because in my elementary school side, you have to have 90 minutes of reading, a certain number of minutes for math, a certain number of minutes for science, and you have to have a certain test score in order to go forward. That's not going to happen in professional career development. You need to do that after. So I see that we're going to be able to do it, but it's through the summer programs, it's through the after school, it's through the weekend programs. These are, I think, where we'll have more flexibility and creativity to kind of, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the different things that I think will reach more people. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, those are the areas that I think we're going to develop tap into the next generation of developers.
I just wanted to comment about your community college type of education because the world is accelerating the aging. So we are the whole world is getting older and
That's true.
no choice. Yeah, no choice. I mean, mm, I don't know about the United States, but Latin America, they're getting to the point of Europe as soon as like in 20 years. In this situation, maybe reskilling, upskilling for more mature people because we have more life. Um, we have more years to live and we can work more. So maybe that is something that we need to think as well in this world.
I think that's a
Um,
great idea. Career
mhm.
switchers. I mean, I've switched careers. Well, I keep having multiple paths in the same career, but I've switched over many times just because of the fact that I see my skill can be used in one place
Mhm.
and I'm having fun. But I agree that just because you decide to kind of leave one career doesn't mean that you can't learn and do something in a different career. And there's a lot of tech knowledge that can be cross-applied as long as we have the training programs to kind of help people get up to date. But the challenge is, again, tech is happening so fast. So once you think you are comfortable with one tech, all of a sudden a different language has been created and you need to kind of understand that language. So but I do want to say to everyone who's listening to this, reach out to me because I want to make sure that your company gets listed in our library. I also want to make sure that as these uh, individuals who are looking at becoming part of our community or looking for resources or individuals that they know about your company. So that way, if they have that talent that you need, they can reach out to you and you know, become part of your community as well. So I think we just lost Yuka.
Well, I can stay. Anyone have any more questions? We got 7 more minutes. Oh, there's Doug. Doug can pick it up.
What happened to Yuka? Was she blown away, literally?
Gosh,
Wow.
yeah, she
I
really
think she froze and then the Zoom happened.
Wow, fantastic. I know, so you're based in Maryland, is that correct?
I am based in Maryland, and I saw that someone had asked about the email, so I'm putting that into the chat.
Okay.
It's marylandblockchainassociation.org, info at marylandblockchainassociation.org for sure, because I want to connect everyone with our blockchain center, so that way the CapTech University community and those that we're bringing on board internationally can also learn more about what everyone's doing.
Okay, I think Mijong Hibbets is here, and she, you may have met her already. I'm not sure.
We did. Yes,
We
we did. I'm
did.
excited. Yeah.
You know, I think Mijong, like you, I was just so excited to learn more uh, about what Jacqui does, and it's sort of like the Renaissance woman. So multiple books and multiple businesses and multiple interests, and as I think everybody has seen today, very intelligent around all the things that are happening, which you need to be in these days. We can't be as smart as Jacqui, probably most of us. Certainly, I can't be. I'll speak for myself. Maybe
Well,
me.
thank
Others can, but it's really great and reassuring that we have someone in Global Chamber who understands all of these different issues. Mijong, did you have any other comments that you wanted to make?
No, first of all, Jackie, good to see you here. And as Doug mentioned, I'm co-located actually in Maryland with Jackie. And also I'm a executive director for Global Chamber in PWI. I'm excited, Jackie, so that we can do, you know, the globally as well as more locally on, you know, the what you do, crypto, blockchain. I mean, these are really, really hot. A lot of people are interested in, but I think that there is not sufficient actually, you know, knowledge is out there. So education part is very, very important. So I'm glad that you know that we can talk more and do some more exciting event.
I'm excited too. And I know that, you know, the blockchain area is becoming more prevalent on the association side. What I mean by tomorrow, I'm actually talking on behalf at the Maryland General Assembly and on behalf of a bill that they introduced to have a Maryland blockchain task force. And Utah, Virginia, and some other states already have task force. And so it's going to be an interdisciplinary task force. So that way, as these new technologies are spinning out, and if there are bills that are introduced, it can go up to the task force for comment and advice and pulling in people from the community to kind of make sure that the regulations and everything are realistic. And I'm excited about that because they already have in Maryland an AI task force. So the idea that they are creating a blockchain task force, I think, you know, it's a seed that other states are going to follow. And I know different countries already have that already in place, but you know, it's definitely growing. So all of us, you know, understanding the tech a little bit better, it's really important.
Thank you. We have to wrap up, but Yuka is back, I think. Yuka, would you like to make any final comments?
No, thank you very much, Doug, for pitching in. I suddenly lost the electricity. We talked about losing electricity, and this happened, and I was like, wow. But anyway, it was a great session. Thank you very much for your expert knowledge, and I'm very sorry that I skipped your attorney profile, your lawyer attorney,
No,
and
it's okay.
many things else. So we really look forward to working together with you from Global Chamber Barcelona as well, because we are doing some technology content as well. And thank you very much for coming today. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And Doug, final word, please.
AI, blockchain, crypto, all critically important for all of us to understand and probably get involved with. Certainly AI, everybody should be involved with. Watch for news on that. For the rest of today, that's pretty much our calendar. This week is Arab Health 2025. You may know some folks. We certainly do within Global Chamber who are part of that. And then tomorrow, we've got 2 different city Globinars, Accra and Dallas-Fort Worth. And we also have a Globinar in Spanish that Cesar is leading. Cesar, are you there? And is there anything else that we're missing? And if not,
Hi, Doug. I'm here. Yes, I want to mention about tomorrow's call in Spanish. It's basically called Learn and Connect. So we have a couple members speaking, but the whole idea is for everyone to connect and expand opportunities. Thank you.
thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. And Jacqui, again, thank you for a great presentation and information.
Thank you so much. And I just want to give a shout out to Lothar. I want to thank him for introducing me to the Global Chamber. Really appreciate that. And everyone, again, I'm excited to be working with all of you. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lothar.
Thank you.
Global Chamber.
Thanks, Lothar. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.